Hi, friends. Good morning, good evening. Just a moment. I'm so sorry for the background noise. And I'm Kumkum Sharma. I'm back again on live open session episode 24. On the behalf of entire Eisenbridge team, I would like to welcome you all here. And today we have the same agenda. We have to discuss so many good certification which can give you the career growth in your upcoming years. So, Saket, I would like you to start this session. I know I've declared the agenda about the project management, but it's not like it's on project management. Whatever questions you have, you can add your questions, and it's a simple thing. Whether you're watching from Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, just add your questions in the comment section, and I'll add your questions here. So, Saket, over to you now.
Thank you. Thank you. So while we are waiting for more questions to come and we start as we get queries, what I can do in meantime is that I can pick up something which we have, which I can see is a question on our YouTube channel. So as a comment, there are things which I think is a good place to get start with. Yeah. So I'm picking some ideas from there. By the time, if anyone who is watching it has some questions, comment, please feel free to add your questions in the desired sections. Okay, so here we start. So I can pick up a question here, which is primarily, um, if I see here, it's a little team management question. So the question, the way it is written is, if one developer always takes the complex item and wants to deliver it, and if this is an issue for the other developer member, what Scrum Master can do here? Yeah. So the idea is that you have a team coordination issue. In this particular case, team collaboration issues. So what I can do as a Scrum Master to improve the collaboration, and I see a little bit conflict between two developers, yeah, or more than one developer, more than two developers as well. So in simple, if we just talk about as a process, we can refacilitate the activity of creating ground rules, some kind of a team charter, which can facilitate how should we pick up the work, how should we do the things, and how should we plan our things. So it's the overall idea of doing, planning, working together, which results into a better results for everyone. So as a Scrum Master, you can first bring this question out. So let's the problem be open. Don't try to say that not to share the problem with both the people, rather than like people are only complaining to you and you are the only one who is facilitating it and not sharing the information. In my view, that's not a good idea. So you probably share it with those impacted parties and bring that out in open. And based on that sharing, you ask, how can we probably improve it, how can we probably take it forward? And in that process of taking it forward, you might want to revisit the team working agreement. That could be a discussion item during a retrospective meeting also, or you can do a special meeting where you end up having this particular conversation. So you decide how do you want to operate, but that's a one possible way of handling this particular challenge. So that's what I can pick up from one of the comment area of our channel. Yeah. Okay, so we have another question, which is again I'm picking up from our YouTube channel comments, which I have not yet responded to. Okay, so I have a doubt. Many times the interviewer might not be an agile adept and ask vague questions which go outside of agile way of doing things. So the context is that you are going for an interview and a Scrum Master interview, and the interviewer is in your perception. That's the important point. In your perception, the interviewer is asking something which you believe is not an agile thing to do. Yeah. So what do I do in that particular situation? So if interviewer asks whether as a Scrum Master I have an experience in doing something, how should I handle that? Now, if I read the question also asks that if as a Scrum Master I have experience in writing user story, creating epics, breaking down the features into product backlog items, now what should I do? So the thing is that one is that we need to understand that the role of a scrum master may not be universally equal everywhere. So that's the one possibility, that in one organization, the scrum master might be closely working with the business team, facilitating the requirement exploration more closely. In the another organization, scrum master may not be that much closely working with the business there. And as I discussed few times before, the skills in user story seems to be the popular in demand. So whenever someone is recruiting or doing things for the scrum master role, we do see the need of experience in the user story space. So that's a possible skill which might get tested, and probably you should be having those skills. Now, assuming you that the interviewer is picking something which is not part of your skill, then better you focus on what you can do and what you can't do, rather than getting into the things that it should not be the scrum master job or it should be the scrum master job. You can come up with your experience, that as in my previous jobs, or the where I am working, or where my friends are working, we are primarily involved in these kind of things, and these are our key deliverables. So these are the things I have been doing. I focus on that, and I can probably say that yes, it might be in your organization the scrum masters might be involved in few more things, but where I am currently involved in, I'm involved in these things. And let the person also decide, is this the right match or something else? Because yeah, you may also not want to work in the organization or in a space where the scrum masters are doing something which you don't want to do. So be clear what you can do, what you can't, rather than getting into the debate of this is scrum or this is not scrum. And focus on your key skills area and present them clearly in the interview. But user story, I think it's a good thing to learn, not only from a theory perspective, not only from the perspective of there should be an invest story and this should be or that should be. So that's a good invest and everything is good, but ultimately you should be ready to give example of everything. So this was not invest, this is invest, how to break a bigger one into a smaller one, what all the splitting story techniques. Yeah, so you must be knowing how are the possible ways of splitting the big requirement into a smaller requirement. And that's something is usually also a part of curriculum whenever a scrum master gets into the advanced learning. So say advanced scrum master program, if I talk about a scaled agile one, they spend good time teaching about how to split user stories. So that's a agenda item that seems to be an important item as well for the scrum masters. So I take that from here. Okay, so we have another conflict management thing coming in. So we have a question coming in, how to handle conflict between developers and testers in a team. So yes, there could be a conflict, and the conflict could be based on the type of work people are doing. And one of the reason of the conflict is people having different value, different perception of the value. Yeah, what are you trying to achieve? Both the individuals, depending upon the type of role they are involved in, they may have a different priorities and they may see different things important. So when you have a people having different focus area, then you probably need to bring the alignment by having more common values. So that's the reason in a scrum word, it is not actually recommended to label people differently. Don't label people tester or a developer. The idea of scrum way of organizing team is keep them everyone as a one label, because as soon as you label people differently, some kind of dysfunction starts coming in, some kind of a grouping starts forming. Yeah, but again, it depends upon your organization culture and the history of it. There could be a possibility of that they do carry a label which is not common. Yeah, and because of that label, some kind of a feeling or differentiation starts coming in, some division happens. So as a scrum master, project manager, whatever role you are playing as a leader role, I need to get rid of that label based division and bring an alignment to a common goal. And once I have an alignment to a common goal, then conflict is good. It is all about pursuing that common goal, a better way of pursuing that common goal. But if the goals are separate, then the conflict will be not that healthy, because someone wants to achieve A and someone wants to achieve B, yeah, then it is going into a different direction. So that's something I can think. Yeah. Okay, we have a question. Okay, so the question is that I'm looking for an agile coach role in the near future. So I can also apply for agile project manager, as it sounds similar things. If yes, what kind of a key tags, words I should mention in my profile? Yeah. So let's go one by one and think that, okay, do we have similarities between agile coach and agile project manager? That's the first thing. So usually you find these things pretty much separate, because the label project manager is usually a delivery oriented guy. He's responsible for getting things reached to the customer, delivering of the value. So project managers will be held accountable for delivering value if that role exists. Yeah. Again, we can talk about a framework. A may have it or B may not have it, but project managers are all about delivering value. Whereas agile coaches is more about enablement, say education, mentoring, coaching, and creating the leaders and teams who can deliver the value. So the way we explored in our previous sessions, the primary role of agile coach is creating leaders, and in a simple way you can say creating Scrum Master or team level people who can lead and mentor their own things. So I am more about creating, enabling, and I add value by creating the good development team, but may not necessarily be held accountable for resolving customer challenges, customer impediments, escalations, budgetary issues, reporting issues. So I may not get involved in that if I am playing the role of an agile coach. So first you need to be clear that which area you want to target more. You want to target more on a coaching space, or you want to target more on the project delivery space. Now, if you want to target on a coaching space, you need to focus on keywords like coaching, facilitation, large group facilitation, mentoring, growing team members, performing some kind of agile assessment. So that kind of a keywords you should be focusing on. And we shared the blog also. We can share it again. We have a blog explaining good amount of details for agile coach space. So that's something is pretty much there. Now, when you focus on a project manager thing, it's a little challenging because there is no defined role called agile project manager. But in general, you focus on showing good understanding of working in the agile based approaches, maybe working with the Scrum Master or working as a Scrum Master, dealing with various offshore, onshore engagement using agile approach, showing good understanding of agile matrices, agile way of doing planning and estimation and working with people, uh, focusing on creating some kind of a dashboard or a performance reports coming out of agile teams, and then generic project management skills. So that's the area you should be focusing on when you are focusing on agile based project delivery. Yeah. So some element of project management, some element of agile, and both of them finally combined together and delivering value. Yeah. And then checking on the job sites is a good idea to see what it shows to you at the end. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great. So we have another question. So I am driving program and I am new to Agile. Okay. I just joined the enterprise, which is following Scaled Agile framework. Great thing. Very good. I want to advance my career towards product management in a long term to become a product manager in that particular space. I currently have CSM and enrolled for Safe Agilist. Okay. And in my goal there, what are the courses you recommend for me to succeed to become a product manager? Okay. So see, this is a good thing that you are working in the Scaled Agile environment. Yeah. So you work closely and develop a fair understanding of the how the Scaled Agile operate. Yeah. Since you are coming from program management background, it might be useful for you to understand the whole process or a complete way of working in a Scaled Agile framework. And you have chosen a very right certificate leading safe or safe agilists, so that you get the most comprehensive understanding of what is safe. So that's a great thing to start with. And when you have that, you can also choose which area you want to go further. Yeah, that's the one thing. Now, if you want to focus on product management space, so the idea that in a safe, the product related work is kind of done by two roles, product owner and product manager. Yeah, again, there could be a good amount of overlap there, but product owners are more responsible, accountable for communicating the requirement to the delivery team and getting the right thing developed as per the business understanding. So major focus is communicating the requirement in the form of user story, focusing on acceptance criteria and getting things done. So that's a kind of a delivery focused role. Whereas a product management is a business focused role. It is primarily responsible for stakeholder engagement, product standardization, working with the business stakeholders on working on a large set of requirements. Those requirements may be called epic, may be called feature, depending upon how you see them. But ultimately working on something which has a business justification and something which need to be checked end to end, yeah, throughout. So that's that space. Now, when you go for training, say you go for X training in a safe or a Scrum training, there will be some amount of training will be spent on teaching you how product management happen in the safe environment. So that's a good time goes there, and remaining time you might need to focus on some skills, some processes which can help you in developing product management space. So in general, learning about domain, getting more and more involved in the product specific space, discovery of requirements, elaboration of things, elicitation. So it's the complete requirement elicitation thing might be useful for you. So that's something you can do. From a certification perspective, some amount of business analysis knowledge is good. So PMI has a PMI PBA. Since you are coming from a program management background, that might be a good foundational thing to start with. The Scaled Agile also has a certificate which is called Agile Product Management, APM. So SAFE APM, it's a 3 days program that primarily focuses on the product management. So 75% of that content is a product management. The Scaled Agile also has a SAFE POPM, but the major focus of POPM is product owner rather than product management. So it's more about the delivery oriented role when you look at a safe POPM. When you look at a safe APM, it's more about a role which is focused on the business side. So the two certificates from Scaled Agile, POPM and APM, after you have a fair understanding of safe, and then foundational certificates like PMI PBA can help you in getting the business analysis understood. Okay, yeah. Anything, any follow-up in these two questions before I take the new thread? Yeah, I just pause and just move after that. Okay, so I take the track change and we are getting into project management space specifically. So here the question is coming is that, I have been into project management for 4 years. Prior to that, 9 years into HR global shared services. I have not done PMP. I am planning for a job change, certification mandatory or not. Yeah, that's the whole idea which we are exploring. So see, the definitely certification is not mandatory. That's fairly clear. You can in majority of the jobs, you will not find a certificate as a mandatory. So that's there. Now, at the same time, certification helps you in polishing your experience, even understanding the interview process little better. So doing certification has a value, yeah, because it makes you more searchable. Your profile get more searchable, and when you present your experience. So if I ask you, or tell me what all you have done in project management, yeah, now you speak something. But if you have gone through a formal study of a project management, you will organize your thought based on various dimensions of project management. Like you will think of, how we did planning, how we do pre-planning activities, how we did overall execution, how we have been learning and changing as per the environmental change, how we were doing stakeholder engagement, how we were managing communication and transparency. And you bring up a proper structured case, because you have been told that these are the area as a project manager one should be care for. So I teach like PMP certification and all, and major impact I see is it's just not passing the certificate. After that education, when people go for interviews, many times they get a case study to work on. Whenever they get a case study, they understand, oh, okay, I probably need to look into communication aspect, I need to look into stakeholder aspect, I need to look into a scheduling aspect. So they get all the ideas and they put everything together. So it doing the certification puts you first, it brands you your profile well. That's the first thing. And second, it also educates you to be ready to understand, also communicate your experience in a better way. So I don't see that there should be any reason of not doing the certification. Now, certification is an exam, but before certification also there is a preparation. And if you enroll with the education providers where their intent or focus is just not around exam, there are education provider who may just focus on, oh, this question will come in exam, this question will not come in exam. That won't add value for the overall goal. But if you get into an education program like the way we teach, it's all about enabling you with those skills which are needed for you for passing the exam. You don't have to think of passing the exam. You naturally get through it. And it also needed for interview, it also needed for your long term goal, like working as a successful project manager. So all these 3-4 things comes together, and I believe you should at least start learning about it, and then probably you also get value from your certification. And it's not difficult. It hardly takes around, like, depends, yeah, 2 to 6 weeks of efforts. Yeah, we have people doing here and there, but by default, since you are coming from the background of project management from 4 years and you have some amount of HR global services experience, then I feel for you it's around, yeah, you can do it in a 4 to 6 weeks time. Yeah, provided you spend around 150 plus hours studying about it during that duration, and which is fairly possible for you to get it. Okay, so what we have explored till now, we explored the product management, we have explored project management, and we explored PMP certification in a specific case. So yeah, I take a pause, wait for more questions, else I pick up from my YouTube comment inventory. Okay, this seems to be a nice question, though we have not explored very clearly in this. So I am a first time attending the Scrum Master interview. How should I prepare for it? Yeah, a very a good and clear cut a question, and I am sure many of you must have done it multiple times. But yeah, someone who is preparing the interview first time for a role of a Scrum Master, what kind of advices we can give it to? So the assumption is that we also need to see what you have been doing before. You might be getting first time for Scrum Master, maybe you were getting interviewed as a developer before, and this time you are getting interviewed as a Scrum Master. So one thing is that we also need to start from the history, what you have been doing before. And in general, we posted various Scrum Master interview questions and all. So it depending upon which organization is taking an interview, it's very difficult to predict how the whole thing will go. But there could be a combination of a checking of your Scrum knowledge, checking of your interpersonal skills, which may include facilitation coaching, the kind of mindset, a conflict resolution and all. And then there could be a possibility of giving you a small case study for getting the things done. Yeah, so that's a possible thing which might be get tested. So these are the 3 things which you may need to focus on. Now, if you are getting into the interview first time, my recommendation is practice some of the frequently asked questions so that you have answer in your mind. Yeah, and those questions are not answers available everywhere. Things like describe your typical day. So you should be very clear what all I want to focus on. What is your roles and responsibility? So whatever is something related to your current experience, what is your aspiration? What do you think is a good thing to do as a Scrum Master? So those general things which you probably get about your job experience, you better make a list of those questions and have a very clear understanding that which area I want to highlight, where I want to focus more, and maybe have some areas to focus or not focus depending upon how the things are moving, because you may have to drop few ideas based on where the interviewer interest is. So these things which can be done. Okay, we have another question. If I move to, so I'm selected for Scrum Master role in an organization, but the job description lists all the Agile coach roles and responsibility as well. Also, I know that the organization has a roadmap for SAFe. Can you suggest certification for me? Does DASSM also useful? So, okay. So first thing is good. Yeah. So you have a great opportunity. So it's a congratulation that you got an opportunity to work as a Scrum Master, but having responsibility of Agile coaches. So it's a good thing, because you are getting ready for your next role in a way. And if you enjoy doing it, you will come to know. If you don't enjoy doing it, you will also come to know, and you will say, okay, this is not something which I want to focus on. Yeah. So that's a great thing. It's a good thing to start with. Now, if you say that, okay, my company might go into a scaled agile, that's the one thing. So what should I do? And then you are bringing a DASSM also there. So definitely the safe is safe. DASSM is DASSM. Yeah, there could be the core idea of agile may remain common, but it's a significantly different thing. So the whole idea of safe way of working is pretty much different. Yeah. So if you are getting say opportunity to work in a scaled environment, I do suggest you to get a good expertise in SAFe. One of the thing you can do is check our video content. We have a 50 plus video in our YouTube. We have a playlist. You can search, or we can share the link in the comment area, and check those videos so that they give you a good foundation for scaled agile framework. So that's the first thing possibly you can do. Now, if you want to also add some weight to your knowledge, primarily for safe knowledge, then you probably want to do some certification, and good certification for overall understanding of safe without getting too specific to any role. Understanding of safe is a leading safe agilist or a leading safe program that you can do. Yeah, you don't become a consultant of safe, you don't become a trainer of safe by doing it. Yeah, but you become a more aware about it. That's something you can focus on. So that's the idea which we can focus on. Yeah. So the thing, DASSM, yeah, if you just want to focus on various flavors of agile, you can pick it up. Yeah, may not directly contribute to your safe journey, but it will give you a little broader perspective of mixing and matching different things and coming up with a tailor-made agile process. So that's the DA pitch is. You can study the DA. PMI has a portal which gives a good startup knowledge for DA, disciplined agile. And if you like those whole idea, which is primarily talking about context sensitive agility, where you look at the context and based on what is working, what is not working, you apply things. Yeah, so that's something you can definitely do when you are focused or you see a value in it. But in general, studying safe and leading safe is a good choice to start with. And if you like the DA way of working and then you see a value, you can do it. In general, my personal recommendation is, if someone is working in the agile coaching space, yeah, it might be useful to study disciplined agile, especially the book Choose Your Wow, because the Choose Your Wow book from a disciplined agile gives you a quite comprehensive listing of various possible agile tools and techniques. So when you get to them and you understand these are the possible techniques which can mix and merge for various things, that's a good knowledge base. Yeah, and it may take multiple years for you without having such kind of a comprehensive list to learn yourself. But if you go through Choose Your Wow book, which is a foundation for discipline agile, that might be a useful learning. Yeah. So okay, so that's the another question. Should a development team be ultimately held for the failure of the Scrum goal? Okay, yeah. So should be development team held for the failure for the keep Scrum goal? So again, it depends what is failure, and what do you mean by holding a thing. So it's something which we explored few times. The idea here is there should be a sense of ownership. Yeah. So if something is failing, we own up. That's the whole idea. Rather than saying, oh, that was the problem, this was the problem, this guy didn't do this, then we are not owning it. And as a role of any leadership is that you need to create that accountability and ownership for success and failures. Yeah. And once we get it, we are done. Yeah. It is nothing beyond that, So if something is wrong, people should not spend their energy in finding out who did what and finding out blaming someone else. This is, yeah, this is wrong and I think I must fix it, and I own up. That's the conversation is over. If that culture is not there, then good amount of energy will go into finding faults, saving someone, and blaming someone, and that's the whole process which might be non-productive. So that's the whole idea in a Scrum way of working, that we should create a clear ownership. Now at the same level, as a leader can't also say, what do I do, these teams, these guys failed. So everybody owns up. So Scrum Master also has to own up. He's also owning up the failure, because the Scrum Master or a project manager was expected to make a development team which can succeed. And at the same time, development team also owns up the failure. They are expected to do the thing, or highlight the issue early and often, and there is no excuse. So nobody is giving excuse is the goal which we are looking for in a good organization. So be it agile organization or non-agile organization, be it with Scrum or be it with non-Scrum, that's the whole objective of having the team way of working. Okay, so we have another question. So there are a lot of programs coming from various institutes, universities, and then there are certification bodies, and there are people teaching product management. How should we differentiate them, and what do we do about them? So I think it's a difficult choice, and I don't know what should one do. But in a simplest way, you can say the length and focus. So, for example, if you are learning product management by using safe POPM certificate, or you are learning product management by doing a Scrum Alliance COPO CSPO certificate, the major focus of that certification would be how to do product management in Scrum, or how to do product management in Scaled Agile, or product ownership in Scaled Agile, and some part of a key focus area which they believe are the good. Now, starting from understanding the overall product management is usually a management course. So it could be a management program which may run for 2-3 years, where you do various case studies, you understand various customers, you get feedback, and that it may take few years before you develop that skill. So in general, you do see the profiles of the market facing product managers. So you find them, the business degree, more common. If you see the profiles or the job descriptions of the development team focused product owners, you will find the need for engineering education and ability to communicate the functional and non-functional requirement as a key characteristic. So you see what is demanded in the job profile, you also see what is there in the people's profile, and that helps you in finding out what should be done. So overall, and I will say it's a combination of multiple things. One might do a management degree, may also understand how the product management happens in a particular framework, and does their own time and money investment, primarily the time investment, to learn and help the customer getting the right value. So that's the whole idea of product management. That's my view. Okay. So any framework toolkit that can be used to suggest a suitable scaled agile framework when companies are looking for adapting safe. Okay, so what I am reading here is, do we have any toolkit which can help people to identify which one is the right scaling framework for them? So I'm picking the question, might be asking about scaled agile, but they are asking which scaling framework might be good to adapt to. So there are some consulting organization which runs this business. I'm not aware a clear-cut toolkit where you feed someone's questions and the answer gets in. But as a coach, as a consultant, that is your role in many cases. and you can perform that role better by learning those frameworks. So you probably learn various frameworks which are relevant and see what are their fitment, which are the right cases where they fit into, and that can probably help you in identifying where or which framework can probably help the organization. But see, all these frameworks talks about customizing based on the retrospective. So ultimately, the framework is the initial few months of the experience. After that, the team has to create their own framework. So any framework you can start with, uh, maybe you will pick up the best possible one, suitable one, but ultimately it has to evolve in your your organization need and your organization challenges. And ultimately, after that, that evolvement, like evolution only, you will get your own framework. So yes, there is a good confusion around picking something, but the in my view, the good amount of energy goes after you pick something in the framework space. Okay, so I have a 7 years of experience in IT as a production support role. I also have an experience in change management process. Want to switch into the full-time project management role? Please suggest. So yeah, educating yourself on the project management is a good idea, like PMP. That's the good thing to do. And nowadays, the PMP also appreciates change management. So there is a change management piece, the transformation piece, or a transition piece, which is pretty much added in the current PMP exam. So that will be useful since you also have an IT background. So that might be also a good mix of it. So study about project management with the help of PMP certification can be useful. So any other enterprise scaling framework apart from SAFe and DA? Yeah, I think a little bit linked with the previous question. There are many, and every month there might be a new thing coming up. So you can pick up some of the survey reports and see which are the 10 popular scaling framework. So if I have to name few, like there is a large scale Scrum, there is a Scrum at scale, or there is that's the possibility. Discipline Agile, Scaled Agile you spoke about. So there are things like these. There is a Nexus or a scale, the scrum.org scaling framework. I hope it is still called Nexus. So that is also there. So these are the possible things which you can search. Yeah. Okay, so scaling framework, choosing the right one, finding out how to study product management, and growing there. That seems to be the theme till now. Okay, let's pause, see if there are more questions to clarify, and we can explore together something more. Okay, so in the retro event, if it's an interesting question, so which is saying in the retrospective, if the trend goes like if the development theme more pointers to what went wrong, and for instance blaming the other groups for not responding, as a Scrum Master, how can we do it? Yeah. So that's something is a point. So many times in my experiences, the retrospective start focusing on something external. Yeah, so everything is more like because of some external reason we were in a position. Yeah. It might be useful. You might have special section for internal and for external, and may have some focus on that. We need to focus at least equal number of internal and as well as external things. Now in many, some Scrum Master may focus on not to have any external conversation in the retrospective, but then the few may have that what if there were some impediment which were not getting resolved. So it's a good to talk about them as well, else we are shutting the that piece out. Yeah. So it might be useful to talk about the impediments which were blocking the whole journey, and that's the action for a team as a Scrum Master to figure it out. How do we overcome them, those things? But at the same time, there should be a section which talks about that. Okay, what we can do, which is in our control, And as a process setting, we need to set that up, because if we remain dependent on someone else for our happiness, because the objective of retrospective is creating happiness for the team, yeah, it is creating more productive environment for the team. So you don't do much of the rework, you enjoy what you are doing. So how do we create an enjoyment and progress for you? And if it is always dependent on someone else, then we may not have any hope for improving our work life. So focus on that. Okay, what can we do to improve our life, improve our delivery focus, improve our quality of work, so that we don't get into something and asking one thing 10 times. We can get it done in a one go, because everyone wants to do a new work. And I think rework is something is not a good thing. Nobody likes it. So focus in that, and that probably can help people to find out the right thing. Yeah. Now, how much customization is advised, recommended when the adapting Scaled Agile framework? So any framework you pick up, be it Scrum, Scaled Agile, the basic recommendation would be that you don't customize it. Yeah, at least initially. So you do it as it is, you feel it, you sense it, you run the retrospective. And once you run the retrospective, then you know what is happening based on the real experience. So depending upon what you learn, and if you have a problem, you fix that problem. Nothing should come in between for that. Okay, we can't fix it because it is not told in the framework. So usually these customization, I would say, will not be a customization, rather they will be augmentation. So you will augment the thing. You will say, okay, this thing is not happening in our context, we may need this also, we may need to do this particular thing in this particular way. So that's all things comes in. And to ensure the alignment, all of these frameworks talks about some basic principles. So they will say that, okay, whenever you want to augment things or want to tweak something, you need to look into the principles, and you need to always ensure that we are aligning our practices, is aligning to the principles. Because it is difficult to create a master list for practices for this whole there could be a billion companies in this particular environment in the business. We can't have a one framework running all these companies. So each company has their unique business model, each company has their unique perspective of looking at things. They may start from a frame, they may start founding on the principles of like continuous improvement, limiting work in progress, focusing on customer delivery, which are kind of a great idea all the time, and then build and augment things on top of it, which helps you in achieving your delivery. So that's something an organization will end up doing. Yeah. Okay, so we have a question. So I have 10 years of experience, and I am currently into the project management for infrastructure project. Okay. So now, could you advise the certification suitable for me, PMP or PMI-ACP? So my recommendation is definitely PMP certification. For you, since you are coming from infrastructure projects, you may find a lot of similarity in a predictive part of PMP, but the PMP also contain 50+% of the PMP content is adaptive side now. So you get a combination of traditional or a predictive way of working plus adaptive way of working in the PMP certification. So it's a nice package now, especially from last 1 year. It's not difficult to do, and it gives you the modern project management practices in a one go. So I think PMP is a good choice for you to pick up. Okay. Thank you. So we see it here. Yeah. Okay, so I may pick up some question from my YouTube comment section. Let's see if I have something interesting there. I'm not even sure that those guys are watching this video once we respond to them. But Okay, so there was a question. If someone wants to learn more about Scrum, then what books he should read? Yeah, that's a question. Again, from my experience perspective, I do find reading the Essential Scrum book a good one. So one can go with the book Essential Scrum. It gives you quite elaborated understanding of Scrum. That's something I can recommend to start with. Yeah. Okay, so today seems to be a product management theme. That's a nice question again, and I think the previous conversation will also will probably help this whole thing. Yeah. So so someone is into a product management with a close to 10 years of experience, done PMP, SAFe, and all those things. So again, certification is that I also did a study in the product management space and now project management space. And now I want to get into product management. How do I do it? So I feel there could be a possibility of picking up things from project management to product management. Say, depending upon what kind of a projects you are involved in your project management space, you might be getting opportunity to facilitate and pick up the user requirements and doing the solutioning part of it, because there are many project managers which are involved in a solutioning space. So if you are involved, then that experience will help you in doing product management. If you are not involved, then that could be the first thing to start with. So exploring the requirement, working with the business value understanding, ensuring the alignment, and getting or volunteering yourself doing these kind of product management activity inside your project team. So there must be good amount of product management activity happening there, and you can probably see some opportunity to participate there. So that's a one thing one can do. Now, just by doing certification and getting into product management, especially the 2 days, 3 days, 4 days one, uh, seems to be little tricky, because uh, it's a little bit wide subject, so you have been dealing with people, you have been managing conflicts and all. So stakeholder engagement management is plays a role, that is a part, but it also focuses on getting into the customer, empathizing with them, understanding what they really need, focusing on the requirement which will add business value, because requirement could be many, and then figuring out what is the right thing, what is the right priority. Yeah, so it is all about finding out what is important. Yeah, so that is something we need to focus on. So usually it takes time. Yeah, so you might need to get into a management program on product management space, as we have been discussing. If you see that there is an internal possibility of moving into product management space by doing a certification like CSPO or safe POPM, depending upon which context you operate in, that might be a good idea. So my take is try to get internal opportunity, if it is, or by getting to some amount of work in your own project space. That might be a good starting point. If that is not working and you also want to take a certification path only, you can't think of putting an extra effort, then focusing on PMI PBA kind of certification program, which gives you a business analysis fundamentals. And once you have a business analysis fundamentals, then you focus on picking up a certificate like CSPO or POPM. So they tell you how to do in a particular context. So business analysis and POPM certificate or a CSPO certificate should increase the possibility of you getting the opportunity to work as a product domain person. Okay. So how to do a business agility assessment? So Scaled Agile has a fair, detailed guidance for it. The people who are like expected to run business agility assessment, especially who has done safe program consultant, can find those resources at Scaled Agile, and there is a fair amount of guidance to run their business agility assessment. So it should be facilitated well. Some amount of information is available directly in open space as well, but the desired consultant may get more information. So Scaled Agile has enough material to do it. Okay, so we move. What is the best practice to excel in the Agile ceremony in the organization? Scrum work best face to face? Any insights? So nowadays, especially from last 3 years, So we can say the agile way of working was expected to work face to face, but the agile way of working was also promoting inspect and adapt. So we need to inspect and adapt every day. It is not like something has been written 10 years ago and we have to follow that. So we have a situation at hand, we have an opportunity at hand, and the world is learning at a faster pace. Yeah. So similarly, each team member has to learn at a desired pace. So figuring out how do you overcome the barrier which this situation is bringing in the virtual context. So first, and it's a basic project management thing we discuss in the PMP space also. It is not just for the agile people, it's for everyone. Yeah. So I was talking to one a design engineer who does designing for various substations and the oil refineries and all. And I was talking how you guys are managing, and it says initially the organization was very clear that we will not work from virtual world, everything has to happen in the office. And afterwards, after 10-15 days, when they realized this is not going to happen, we evolved our processes, and now we are working pretty well. And all our designings, because the work was digital, is happening from home. So similarly, the agile teams also need to figure it out what works for them. Again, forming a team charter, having very explicit ground rules, having very explicit calendar sharing, focusing on which tools can help you to have a common and fluent communication, some chat tools, some continuous discussion boards. So all these digital tools are available, and it should be done with the collaboration with the team. How can they probably use it? Yeah. Okay. So someone is saying anti-patrons. I don't know. I don't see today we spoke about anti-patrons. Yeah. So yeah, maybe it's a way of presenting someone present with the help of anti-patron, someone present possibly with the help of something else. So yeah, you should look. Yeah, everybody should look at the solutions of it rather than problems. So it's a good idea to look at the solution rather than just looking at the problems. So yeah. Okay. So that's the thing.
So interesting session today, and I think we are jumping from one certification to another. I think Scaled Agile, Discipline Agile, Scrum, and Project Management. So many things we discussed today.
Yeah, interesting. Yes, yes, yes,
So,
yes.
guys, we are in the last 8 minutes of our session. So, if you have any questions or any follow-up question, just post your questions in the comment box. I think we got something. Okay.
Okay, so how do you design a strategy for agile best practices? How do you drive the cultural change in the organization? So, see, whenever you have a best practice, looks like that you don't have variability left. So, ideally, agile way of working might not be needed when you have reached to a stage where you can have a best practices. So, the best practice itself shows that problem is well known. Yeah. And a well known problem has a well known answer. But when the problem is not well known, when the answer is not well known, we expect people following agile ways of working. So you are discovering, and once you discover, you are done. Yeah, you move out. So that's the whole thing. So we should not be focusing on having some ready-made ideas which can help us in solving unknown problems or unknown solutions. The ready-made problems or ready-made solution exist when you have a ready-made defined problem. Now, the same way, how do you drive a culture change? It's again depending upon what set of things are becoming problem for you, and what is in your control and what is not in your control. So say, as a project manager or as a scrum master, I might not be capable of changing the culture of my organization. I might not be, yeah, but I might be capable of creating a subculture in my team which is which is conductive to our project environment. And you might observe each team has their own subculture, a team culture also. So my way of looking at it is I focus on what is bothering me in my value delivery, what is in my control, and how can I take action towards it. Yeah, that's the possible thing which I can focus on. And I also understand that ready-made answer will not be available. People can suggest me a process of finding answer. The Scrum guys will say, why don't you do a retrospective should help you in finding the answer. So now retrospective is the process which helps you in finding the answer, but ultimate answers need to be found by the person. That's the whole idea of a Scrum Master, which need to be focusing on. So whatever the Scrum Master, Agile coach, project manager is focusing on, you focus on my area, my space, and I create that culture. Now, what is the culture? It's a simple thing. How do I create a sense of accountability in my team? Yeah. What is lacking? What are the my behavior which are inducing people losing the initiative for taking accountability? So you focus on you. How do you change your behavior? How do you influence others by setting up the right example, which can help me in creating a culture at my capacity level, Scrum Master, Agile coach level? And you will see in your organization itself, a different Scrum teams may have a different culture, and there is an influence. Again, I'm not saying it's a clearly driven by the Scrum Master or the Agile coach. There is an influence which a Scrum Master or an Agile coach or a project manager plays, because he is expected to be leading that team, and that's the essence which is. So focusing on ability to create trust, yeah, so that solves many problem, sense of accountability, and you can pick up all those ideas which are coming as a Scrum values. But ultimately, how to do it is something a team has to figure it out, because each team will have their own challenges in order to reach there. Yeah. Okay, so any good idea to learn BA via CBAP, or then move to a CSPO, or moving to a BAPO profile? So a CBAP or PMI PBA seems to be a detailed certification when it comes to business analysis. Definitely they are good to go with. Whereas a CSPO is showing you how to do this in a Scrum context. Yeah. So which has a value once you have a foundational understanding of business analysis at a level, because you may not get everything in the 2 days class. You understand how to do a business requirement elicitation, exploration, prioritization in the world when things are changing very, very frequently. Now sequence, it depends. Someone might see an opportunity, and since doing CSPO is a far easier than doing CBAP or PMI PBA, so one may want to do that, and then probably want to get into the formal business analysis certification. Yeah, so sequencing can be figured out, but they have both a different value proposition, because yeah, so business analysis is pure business analysis. Good. So this is where we are heading towards, and I think we are closing to our timeline. What I can suggest here is that if you have any follow-up discussions, you can keep posting your ideas on our YouTube channel as well. Periodically, we do respond to them. And this video is also get published as soon as we finish this session, or it's already live on YouTube. So in case you want to check or look at some of the conversation again, that's a place to go. You can visit our YouTube channel, you can subscribe it, so you also get intimated whenever those kind of things are happening. And we tend to do it as a weekly event. So you probably also, if you have some ideas, some question which you believe we can help, yeah, again, we don't know all the answers, yeah, but if you believe we can help, then do bring them in our next session. Usually we post the link 2-3 days in advance, so in case sometime you can't attend, you can drop the question in advance also once the link is published on YouTube and LinkedIn. So that's the possible future point you can keep in mind. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I'm sorry, guys, for this bad throat. And so I think by the next week I'll be fine. And yeah, so next Friday, again, the same time, 7 p.m., we'll be back. So Saket, just before the closing of this session, any last minute thoughts, any last minute suggestions would you like to share with the visitors?
Yeah, so best thing is that follow our YouTube channel. That's something gives you the idea, especially people who are focusing on PMP. Today we also published some of the mock questions on PMP. So that can be also a useful thing to look at. It's a videos again. So there are small videos which helps you to get a feel of Agile and PMP combo. So that's something you can also try out. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, audience, for sharing such a wonderful questions and adding value in each other's career as well. So thank you very much. And we'll be back again next Friday. Bye for now. Take care.